I'm MDT team shooter Keith Baker, and today we're going to talk about how I like to mount a rifle scope. Today we're going to use the MDT one-piece competition mount. This mount's really unique. It's got 1/4 inch through bolts, 1/2 inch driver nuts, and a lot of surface area to bind on your Picatinny rail. First thing I like to do is apply a little bit of light lube to each side of the Picatinny rail. This allows when you bind down on the scope mount itself, then instead of galling or possibly catching on the side of a pick rail, for it to keep sliding and go all the way down. So we'll go ahead and mount this critter up. We'll start by getting the slop out of them, back them all off just a little bit, push forward on the mount, and then there's numbers on the side here. We'll just tighten them in order. We'll go 1, 2, 3, then 4. Go back through, make sure they're all snug. We use our torque wrench. We'll tighten each of these slowly. I like to step torque them. I'll do them to 25 inch-pounds. Then I'll step it up to the 65 that's recommended. At this point, I like to use a level. So I'll use the MDT LRA Send It level. This is an electronic level. Makes things real easy for you. All right, we'll remove the caps. We have an indicator on one side of the cap. This is our zero gap feature. It's a really unique feature to these rings. We raise the mount 1.5 millimeter on the one side only. And what that allows us to do to torque this ring all the way down on one side, make our adjustments, and then just snug the other side up. This is only available on our MDT Elite series, which are competition and purpose-built units. All right, I go ahead and set my scope into the saddle, place the rings back on the same way we took them off. Verify that we have the dots on the same side for any of the Elite series, and we'll start all the screws. Okay, now that we have all the screws started in place, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put the scope approximately where I believe it's going to want to be, but then I'll go ahead, starting with the inside, working out on the side with the indicator, and I'll go ahead and torque those down. So each side we're going to start with the middle screw on the side with the indicator, and we're going to torque it down. I like to do step torquing. I'll do 15. Then I'll step it up to the recommended 25. Again, starting with the middle screw and then working your way to the outside of each side. That side's done. So at this point, that still allows us freedom to move this optic. It's snug, but you can move it fore and aft. I then like to go behind a rifle, and I will set my eye relief fore and aft to where I find to have a clear picture and find the distance that gives me the eye relief that I'm looking for. So I used to rely on a spirit level, a machinist level, shims underneath the optic. Though that may get it true to the mount, what I need it true to the level that I'm using in competition. So here I use the MDT LRA Send It level. That's what I reference every time before I break every shot. So I want my reticle true to that. So what I like to do is I like to hang a string line. Over here, I hung a piece of brightly colored mason's twine. I hung it at about 50 yards. I hang it from the tree. I apply a weight or plumb bob to the end. That way I have a nice place to reference my reticle. All right, so here we're gonna go ahead and use a trigger cam so you can see what I'm seeing. I go ahead and I get the light on the back of my level, or I use whatever level I'm using to get the rifle level. I will then rotate left and right until I get the reticle to perfectly line up on the string. So in my peripheral vision, I'm watching the electronic level there. Now that I have the scope set where I believe I want it, I'll then just torque the center screw down on both the front and the back. I'll go back in, just verify. We're green. We're perfectly down the middle. We're red. We're off at the top and the bottom. We're blue. We're off the same amount at the top and the bottom. Back to green. Now every time I'm looking through this optic it will be true to what I'm referencing as a level. I'll go ahead and snug the outer screws down now, finish the torque. So the zero gap side gets torqued to 25 inch-pounds. The side with the gap, you'll torque that to your optics manufacturer's recommendations. This particular one is 18 to 20 inch-pounds, so we're going to go ahead and torque it to 18. Verify one more time and then we're good to go. Looks great.